जावा इंटरव्यूज में कंपेरेबल एंड कंपेरेटर के बीच का डिफरेंस पूछा जाना इज वेरी कॉमन. सो लेट्स ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड द डिफरेंस बिटवीन द कंपेरेबल एंड कंपेरेटर इन दिस वीडियो. So comparable and comparator, these two are the interfaces which is basically defined in Java and mostly used for sorting the objects. Okay, so let's try to understand the comparable first with this use case. Consider you have a users list which is holding list of users. Okay, and where user is having field called name and age. Okay, and I want to sort my users list based on the user's age in the ascending order. Okay, so I have called collections.sort and pass my users list inside it. But how my users list will be sorted? For that, here I have used comparable interface. So let's quickly visit the class whose objects needs to be ordered or sorted based on a specific condition. So if you see this class here, my class is implementing the comparable interface. Okay, and I'm passing the type as a user. Okay, and once you implement this interface, you will be forced to implement this method called compare to. Okay, so here when you call collections.sort and pass your users list inside it, okay, internally that compare to method logic get evaluated, and based on that your objects get sorted or ordered. Okay, so this is your comparable interface. If you notice the implementation of compare to method of the comparable interface, here the current object age is compared with the other user's object age, and based on that sorting is happening. Okay, let's talk about the comparator interface now. Okay, so here let's say you have a list of products, and for that we want to sort that list of products based on the product price as well as the product name. Okay, unlike comparable interface, here your product class do not need to implement the comparator interface. What you can do, you can create the instance of comparable interface is a functional interface which has a method called compare, which takes two argument which is of generic type. Okay, and you just need to provide the implementation of the compare method like I have provided here via lambda expression. And when you want to perform the sorting, like you will call the same method which is collection.sort, but now while using the comparator, apart from passing the object name, you also need to pass the instance of the comparator based on which your objects will be sorted or your objects will be ordered. Okay, so now there is a question that when to use the comparable interface and when to use the comparator interface. So when you want a default sorting logic for your class objects, okay, in that case I would recommend to use the comparable interface. Like here I want to sort my all the objects based on the user's age, and that's why I have used the comparable interface and provided the default sorting logic in the compare to method. With the help of comparator interface, you can sort your class objects based on several conditions. Okay, and while calling the collection.sort method, you just need to pass your comparator, and based on that your object will be sorted. So again, when you want your object to be sorted based on multiple conditions, make sure you or some custom logic, make sure you use comparator for that. When you want a default sorting logic for a particular class, we can use comparable interface in that scenario. So that's all for this video. Stay tuned for the next video. Bye bye.